everybody. It's so good to see you all. And happy Tuesday and happy lunchtime. Hi, Ali. How are you?
Hi, beautiful. I'm fantastic. How are you? Yes, and happy lunchtime to you too.
Oh, yes. I have inhaled my lunch. I hope I don't have anything in my teeth.
No, we're all good. We're all good.
Oh, we're all good to go. Now, I know Rose isn't very far away. And before we get on to actually tell you what's happening today, I just want to remind you guys that welcome to the Healing Through Love show. And we're here to increase awareness around to family and domestic violence. And we're also here to create a soft place to land for those who've survived family and domestic violence. So we've got Rose ordinarily would jump on and let you know that we've got local businesses and services and people who generously pay it forward for our Pamper Days by providing their time and resources to these events. We'll do a couple of plugs throughout the show, I'm sure, Ali.
Oh, no doubt. You bet we will. And, of course, each week on this show, everyone, what we do is we interview a couple of wonderful supporters of our Pamper Days to learn more about their personal journeys, their businesses, and why they support healing through love, as well as we get some expert advice from many different people. So I'm going to be doing the interviews today. So Charlene, see you beautiful. Mwah. She's going to be heading off to do some commenting and have some fun in the background. Bye, my darling. Have fun. All right, everybody. So, as I said, we do have a couple of incredible guests lined up for you today. And firstly, I am going to be speaking to the wonderful Samantha Campbell. Now, Sam or Samantha was a police officer in the WA Police Service for 8 years before becoming a mum. And she regularly attended a diverse range of frontline duties, including disputes, domestic violence, and juvenile intervention. So she has always been really passionate about human behaviour and psychology, and more recently has studied NLP, which is the study of unconscious mind, and incorporates this with other techniques and strategies to coach mums to rebuild their lives. Now, there are 6 key areas in life in which Sam helps overwhelmed mums gain clarity and create balance. These include relationships, parenting, health and fitness, career, finances, and most importantly, mindset and emotional well-being. So I am looking very, very forward to when Sam jumps on the screen, because I have known her for a little while now. We've worked together. We've done a couple of interviews together, and here she is. Hi, beautiful Sam. How are you?
Hi, Ali. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you on the show because, as I said, I have known you for a couple of months. So, and, you know, I learnt about your police background when we met. So, yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind, Sam.
Well, I've had a wide range of jobs, a wide range of roles in life. So I've got quite a bit of life experience. So I did 8 years in the police force before I became a mum. And in that role, we went frontlining. We went to all different types of jobs, as you can imagine, whether it was break-ins, whether it was domestic violence, whether it was helping out with preventing young people from starting to offend and getting them back on track the best we could. So that was my life for 8 years before I became a mum. Then I was full-time mum for 12 years. And then I started getting into the study of NLP, which is working on the unconscious mind and why we do what we do and how we think with the way we think. And so I've had a wide variety of things I can do and I could see. And so from there, I started to see patterns in my life, in other mums' lives, and how we could work on those things and start to make changes. If things were a little bit skew-if, how we could start working those little bit of changes each day. And it started getting our lives back on track and ultimately having a much better impact as a role model on our children and the ripple effect that had on the people around us. So, yeah, it's been very rewarding, being able to help lots of different people and also, yeah, being able to have that empathetic background. So I understand, having worked in that environment, having taken the statements, leading up to court cases and things, I've what I haven't experienced, I've been able to help out with. And so now I'm on the other side and helping mums rebuild their lives and be able to get clarity and step back up when you're in the darkest of times and you're just needing someone that gets where you're at and understands it takes time to rebuild. So yeah, exciting to be able to help everybody these days in this capacity. So yeah.
And I know, how different is it that you've come from being a police officer to where you are now? I mean, that's just like, it's almost like chalk and cheese, isn't it? But you're still helping out, you know, in a similar but very different way, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, it does, because when I was in the role of a police officer, we would take the statements after things happened when we were called out to jobs. And in my core, I wanted to give the best possible report of what the different people said to me, so that would give the best relatable story when it came to other government departments or the court system or whatever, to be able to support those people. So I always had an understanding back there that I wanted to help people on that deeper level and not just turn up and sort out the initial response that we were there for. So it was getting into that deeper level. And I didn't realise, but I've since found out I have a really good understanding and I read people really well, and I can see on that deeper level if they're needing more. So that was sort of led into my studies. And once you work out that deeper level of why you run the patterns that you do in your life, and a lot of that comes back from your childhood. So if you can go back and work on some of those patterns, you can start to create lasting change in your life. So it's pretty incredible once you undo those wrappers and those layers, and then you can have a massive impact. So
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, wow. And we've just had a comment from Trish saying that she was in the police department before shifting into her personal healing business now. So there you go. It's amazing, yes, isn't it? And so now I know that you've got some tips that you're going to share with us today, Sam. So talking about creating, as you said, small but significant changes to create a ripple effect. So share with us, if you don't mind, a couple of those little tips.
Sure. So what I'd say to people is have a look at your life as if it's a wheel, and you've got those different sections that make up the wheel. Now, this is an analogy you've possibly heard elsewhere, and I break that down to whether it's your parenting, whether it's your relationships. Now, that can be with a partner, it can be with your family, or even just with friends, people you interact with. Things like your health and fitness, which is critical as to how your body responds and copes with day-to-day pressures and also enjoyment. So things like your career, finances, and then ultimately how your mindset is, where you're thinking and your emotional well-being. And so I get people to rate those different areas. And if you've got a wheel like that, and some areas in here with a low score and some are out here because they're doing really, really well, and you roll that wheel, it's going to be a really lumpy ride. And so my goal is, with the different people I work with and the ladies, is to say, right, let's just work on little bits, just a little change in those areas that are really out of whack, and start making small changes on a daily basis. And then that becomes a habit. And then you start to see those areas getting a better response. And then your wheel, from being all lumpy, starts to be smoother. And then you can gradually build on everything out to where you ultimately want to be in life.
It's a lumpy ride. I love that.
Well, it is, because what happens is we work on the areas that we're either really good at or we're not, that we find easy, or we get there quickly. We avoid the things that are hard, and we just go, no. So workaholics, they work in their work because it's really easy for them. Mm-hmm. If you're really good at fitness and you've got great health, great fitness, you tend to work on that regularly because it's an easy thing for you. If you go to the gym and you hate it and you don't see results, or you come home sore, you're not going to want to go back. And so it's about making those little changes daily, so that then you want to go back and do it. And before you know it, on your wheel, where it might have been right in the middle on a 5, you've got that out to an 8 where some of your others are 7s and 8s. And then sooner or later, you're rolling at an 8, not a 5 and a 7 and a 9 and then a 2. And it's getting that balance. So we identify the things, just a couple of areas that are difficult, and we make little changes and we support each other on that, and we build those out. And it, surprisingly, over a period of, say, 6 weeks, you don't expect it straight away. And I say to everybody, aim for 6 weeks. And then if we hold it together for the 6 weeks, you'll look back and go, oh my gosh, how far have I come? And so then we just go, cool, okay, appreciate that improvement. And then we go, right, okay, where are we going to work from there? So
100%. And sometimes I love the fact that, you know, you say small but significant changes, because often it is just the tough choice to get started, isn't it? And then once you get started and you do that little bit at a time, it doesn't seem so significant. So, you know, I really respect that you say, you know, just break it down. And not having such a bumpy ride. So I'm actually going to use that from now on, because I think that really works, Sam.
Well, this is, I know I'm going to share with all our viewers, but Ali's not the one that loves doing exercise. She's shared with a few.
Oh, don't tell everybody that.
Well, I said I'd be accountability buddy for you, and that's an example, is that don't go, I want to go out and do an hour's walk or an hour's run every day. You're not going to make the distance. You're not going to stick it out. But if you say, I'm going to get up, I'm going to do 15 minutes, and you think, oh, what's the point? But if you add up 15 minutes for 7 days, you've achieved so much. And then you go, oh, and then you stick at it for 6 weeks. And before you know it, you're like, oh, I'll make it 20. I'll make it 30. I can do this. And the differences, whether it's your clothes get looser, whether you feel better because you're changing your physiology, before you know it, it is a habit. And you get up every day and you just automatically put your shoes on and you go. And all because you started little and just made that small change.
Well, you dobbed me in, Sam, but you're very correct. I have to tell you.
But I'm just saying, there's an example that it can be so simple, but to make that little change. And when it comes down to having a scenario where you've come out of a really toxic relationship, it's really hard to muster up the courage and the energy to start on that cycle. You mean to get that energy going, to get that habit happening. And it's tough. I've been through some really tough places, and it's hard to get yourself up and get going. So I'm saying,
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. But once you make that decision, you know, and I was even recording a podcast on this earlier today, pretty much exactly the same thing, you know, and it is very much that once you make that decision and you take that first step, and then you see, you know, the reward that you get from it and how you feel, and it just keeps snowballing, doesn't it, in a good way?
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you're a parent, you've got little mini me's watching everything. Yes. Everything you say, do, think. And if you can do those little changes in the direction of where you want to go, those little people are going to start seeing that as the new norm. And that's where I want to have the biggest impact, is that as parents, we're role models, and they are going to be mini me's. And if we don't make that effort to change, they're going to be repeating where we've been or living where we were. And I owe it to myself, and we all owe it to ourselves, is if we're not stepping up and living our real life, regardless of where we've been, okay, we are not able to help them change that and have a different environment.
Beautiful. Yeah, that is so true. And it is so important that we break that cycle with our children. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing today, Sam. And I appreciate, I don't know if I appreciate you dobbing me in, but that's okay. But I still love you, so that's all right.
But it's a realistic example.
It is.
Of how we get stuck in that story and being able to break that story and making the change and making it all happen. So sorry, Ali. So I love you dearly, Ali.
That's right. I'm still talking to you. That's fine. That's fine. Hey, Sam, before we let you go, now, do you have something, a link or where people can find you, or something that you would like to share with us before we let you go, a special or something?
I do. I run a Facebook community group that's called Empowering Extraordinary Mums. And this is for all mums welcome to join. And we're there to support each other. We're there to share tips, strategies, and encourage everybody. It's a safe space for you. So if you would like to join us, I would love to have you as part of our community. I think we'll be popping the link in the comments for anyone that wants to reach out for that. And for the first 3 people that contact me, I'm offering a half-hour session where if they want to chat about their personal scenario and maybe any tips and advice I can share with them, I'd love to be able to help and see if I can, share some of my knowledge and what I've been learning. So I'd appreciate anyone that wants to reach out for that.
Beautiful. Excellent, Sam. Thank you so much. No doubt we'll be connecting personally after this. So thank you so much for coming on today. Yeah, she knows she's in trouble. No, she's not really. But we will, we've just put that link in the description for you. So, yep, you'll be able to contact Sam there. So thanks for coming on today, Sam. It's been great.
I appreciate you. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
All right. See you later. All right, everyone. Now, our second guest today is Mick Haan. Now, I hope I've said that right. When he comes on, I'll find out. But Michael is the founder of Care to Grow, a firm with a strong history in financial planning and building wealth through property. The business now specialises solely in money mindset coaching, and their focus is on their clients' financial well-being and transforming negative financial mindsets and belief to help them live their best life. Sure. Mick's vision is to empower people to create more joy, freedom and growth through financial well-being, because he has witnessed and overcome the negative impact of financial stress himself. Welcome, Mick. How are you?
Yeah, really good, Ali. Thanks for having me. It's very exciting.
Oh, very exciting to have you on, mate. Very exciting to have you on. So tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, I've just read out your introduction there, but tell us a little bit more about you and how you came to do what you're doing now.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So my background's financial planning. I've done it for 20 years, and it was all about people coming to me that already had money. So where does a 29-year-old woman come to learn about money, to build confidence, and to make some really healthy decisions around their financial future? And there's a real gap in the market, Ali, and it sort of frustrated me. I tried to do it in the planning industry, and it really didn't work because there's not really a product or a service. So I said, look, I'm going to make one in a sense there. So it was really just, I suppose, being thoughtful and saying, well, how do I really serve? 90% of my clients are women. And I've got a strong mission around empowering women to be financially safe. It's probably just one of my, as I said, strengths. It's one of my passions to do that. And people ask me, I'm a male. So people ask me why, why is this so important? And I won't go into it, but I do want to share that I've had 2 close women to me disempowered through a male, through my father in a sense, and one actually, my twin sister took her life when she was 18. So I've actually seen the impacts of being disempowered, and I've seen many women that really are looking for that financial safety and safety in general, but having that sort of safety net is important for them in regard to either getting out of relationships, having more choices about some freedom, being able to exercise some different options, choices in life. So it's become a mission of mine to really be a service to women and understand what they need to feel safe and allow them to make really good decisions and live their best life, which it's my mantra.
Oh, no, I can hear how you feel about that in your heart, and thank you so much for openly sharing that with us, Mick. It's very, very special. Now, I believe that you were going to share some tips with us today around empowering women around financial freedom. So, would you like to share them with us now?
Yeah, I'd love to. So a lot of times we've got sort of a money type, and what I wanted to share with them, some of them are limiting in regard to sort of our beliefs and behaviours. And what I see fairly common in women and men for that matter, but more women, is that they've, in regard to money, they've sort of got a martyr money type, which they're always looking after someone else. Everyone comes first before them, and they're pretty well at the bottom of the line. They're at the back of the line there, and they don't tend to look after themselves towards what's financial freedom mean to them. So I really work a lot with women to actually put them first and actually understand what's important to them. You know, what are their goals? So it really changes their mindset around always looking for someone else. And I think you were talking with Samantha before, and it's about being a role model and leaving that legacy. I've got a 20-year-old daughter, and I'm strong on her being financially independent. So I've got to show up and educate around how important that is, and not to sort of rely on a male as an example for their financial future. So really take that on board and as I said, look after themselves first. I sit down with a lot of women who are really great at what they do. So whether it be in corporate or business owners, and I love talking about their passion, but there's always that sort of money story. There's always that sort of gap in regard to them, you know, being worthy of having that financial. And so really sitting down with them and going back and working out what their money story is, how that's been formulated. Generally, it's from, you know, when they're quite young, from 0 to 7, and working through them that a lot of their beliefs and behaviours are not theirs.
Right,
It's that scarcity that's generally come from their parents or community. So it's really empowering, and it's almost a light bulb moment, Ali, where they actually say, I can choose something different.
It is absolutely. And can I tell you, I've had one of these light bulb moments myself, and ironically it was when I was talking to my 24-year-old daughter, and she was talking about how she is really determined to be financially independent. And, you know, she was saying, you know, Mum, how did you do it raising us as a single mum? And, you know, you said it before, you know, we often put our children first, which is exactly what I did.
Yeah.
But the whole, and as you said then, the whole mindset, I realised as we were talking, came from back when I was a child.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that, you know, we were poor when I was a child. It's just that I think particularly my dad being a bookkeeper, it was all about like hanging on to money.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, you know, that scarcity of not wanting to spend it. And we had a whole conversation around that, and it was really, it really opened my eyes to think, like, oh, that's a lot why I am the way I am now. So I have started to really consciously change my mindset. But isn't that funny how that came from my daughter, that whole conversation?
Exactly, yeah. And that's encouraging to hear that. So thank you for sharing that. And so working with them to actually change their sort of beliefs and behaviours around money, and they actually really bring it to the forefront. So real awareness around that. And a lot of women I speak with going, I don't understand money. I don't have a good association with money. And when we sort of sit down, and I hate the word budget. I'm not a fan of it at all.
Right.
But a lot of people that I work with, I actually call it an intentional spending plan, which means it's empowering. So I actually get them to sit down and go, well, what are we going to spend on? Why? How's that going to be a service to me? And when they actually go through the process and we look at ways to save money, sometimes we can save, you know, up to $1,000 a month just by being smarter with our money. And they start to build confidence. They actually start to say, well, I can make these changes. I've made 3 or 4 changes, which hasn't really impacted me significantly around changing my lifestyle. And I've just saved all this money.
Exactly. And it also ties in with what Sam was saying before, is that, you know, you make those little changes that build into big changes.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Yeah. So that's I suppose a strong message I want to get out there, that we can actually do things now to put someone in a better position, and it starts building that confidence. We do have a role to play with the mindset part of it, because there's a lot of behaviours and beliefs that have been there for many years for some people. I was guilty of it.
Me too.
But it's just so empowering to see women that I'm working with, and they do change their mindset, and they actually, I suppose, take more accountability, and they start changing some things in their life, and they're working towards financial independence, which I think all women deserve, and all women should have. So it's quite exciting.
You know, and I really, pardon me, I really appreciate that too, Mick, is that, you know, you are saying that all women deserve financial independence. I mean, me as someone who, I have a partner, but, you know, we are two very financially independent people. A lot of people think that's strange. But then, you know, for myself, as I said, I've got my childhood beliefs, but I've also got my background of domestic abuse, which has kind of, if you like, forced me into that belief. I suppose you would speak to a lot of women who have experienced similar things.
I have, yes, and I think that's important for them. That's, again, their independence. That makes them feel safe.
Yeah.
And I think safety, and as a male, I've got to learn that safety for women is very important. And I understand that because I've seen that throughout my own life. So I do really resonate with that. Yeah.
Well, Mick, I love that you are a male working in this space, working with women predominantly, and I really appreciate that. And, you know, as I said, I can feel your heart when you speak about it, obviously with things that are so close to you. So, Mick, do you have a special or a link or something that you would like to share with us today that you can share with our listeners?
Yeah, by all means. So I'm happy to have sort of 6 discovery meetings with people that want to touch base with me. They can go to my website and request that. So that's www.caretogrow.com.au, and it's a very safe environment. I think one of my skills is to actually be authentic, and women tell me stories that they haven't told their partner even, but it's just a great way to say, I just want to tell you my situation and some things there that are really holding me back, and I want to learn. I want someone to teach, to guide. So I'm offering that to the first 6 women that go online and book that. I'd be more than happy to do that.
Oh my goodness. I want to cry with gratitude. Thank you. Oh, look, and honestly, can I tell you, everyone, you know, I spoke to you, Mick, in person the first time last week, and I just feel like there was an immediate connection with you. You know, for me, as a woman who has experienced this, I have absolutely no doubt that anyone who contacts is going to be in very, very safe hands. So thank you so much for coming on the show today. We do very, very much appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I enjoyed it. It's
beautiful. All right, everyone. I don't know if my beautiful colleague Charlene is going to join me in a minute again. But in the meantime, I would love to just say, look, if you are interested in supporting Healing Through Love in any way, you can find us on Facebook at the Healing Through Love Show, or you can email us at htladelaide@gmail.com. Yes, we would, as we said, we have Pamper Days that we do annually. We will be having our next Pamper Day in 2021. So we do look forward to seeing you there. And in the meantime, I would love to thank BeLive TV and MyTime TV, who are our sponsors of the show. And we very, very much appreciate their sponsorship. So thank you very much, everyone. We will see you next week on the show. Oh, and one last thing. If you would like to be a guest on the show, if you feel you have something that you'd like to share with us, some information like our incredible guests have shared today, you're welcome to get in contact with us. So thank you. It has been wonderful to have you with us. We will see you next week at 1 o'clock Adelaide time. Bye, everybody.